class, it's Jamie here, and I just want to show you a couple things in Photoshop as we're getting ready to create the cutout that we're going to take into Illustrator. And I have an image here, and what I want to show you is a way to sort of manipulate the image further to get an even sharper or more interesting cutout filter application. And so what I've done is I've already done it, and I'm going to go through the processes of that. And so one of the things that I like to use in Photoshop, if you're not already using it, is the history palette. And this basically keeps track of all of the steps you make. On the history palette, there's a little camera down here, and what that does is it allows you to create snapshots of what you did. So I've done that here. So this is the actual file opened up, and this is my first snapshot of basically just taking the image as is, taking it into the photo gallery and adjusting the levels and putting it in there. The second snapshot is a little bit different, right? So what I've done to this photograph, because I know I'm going to be creating a cutout, is I've gone in and adjusted the original photograph to have higher color saturation and higher contrast. And I'm going to show you how to do that basically. So I'm going to go back to that first snapshot and start over. And once I do that, you notice how all of these steps here are grayed out. I can't get back to those basically. The history palette is just a history of the previous steps that you've done, and not it won't save that from snapshot to snapshot, and it won't save that once you've closed the program or closed the file. So basically my first step is to change this to a layer instead of a background. I hit OK. I just double clicked on the layer on the word there, and that did that. There's a couple ways to do adjustments to this photograph. Right here you see these are layer adjustments, and if I click on one of these, if you hover long enough, the little thing will tell you what it is. If I click on one of these, it creates a layer basically, so this isn't actually being applied to the photograph. I don't want to do that for this case because this is sort of a one-off. I've already saved this as another file. It's not going to be my original photograph. Another way to do that is to go up to Image and then Adjustments. Now if I click on it here, notice that there's no layer that's created. So basically what I do in this box is going to happen to the photograph. So you want to make sure that you're doing Save As, or that you're using a duplicate copy of the photograph, that you're not adjusting your original image. So this is the curves, and you'll learn a lot more about curves as you move on in photography. But the curve, spending a little time learning and understanding how to manipulate the curve is going to save you a lot of time in the long run. There are other options in here that you can use, like brightness and contrast, but you don't have the same amount of control. I'm not going to spend a lot of time teaching you about the curve. There's lots of information out there on the internet that you can find. Also, just playing around with it will it's the way most of us learn. So basically this line represents all the shadows, all the values in the photograph, and you can see the histogram there. That's another thing you're going to want to learn about. The histogram basically says, okay, well there's this much black in the frame. We want to increase that. We're going to increase the contrast, and I'm basically just going to slide this over. It's going to look a little weird on the right. It's not going to look like a normal photograph. It already looks a little bit more intense. The blacks are definitely blacker. The colors seem a little bit brighter, and that's what we're looking for. I mean, it's a nice photograph, but the colors are starting to hit on that cartoony value, and we're going to actually take it a little bit further. The next adjustment I'm going to do is the hue and saturation. I'm not going to adjust the hues or the lightness. I'm just looking to saturate those colors more to make it look even more cartoony. Click OK. Now this is definitely not an image I probably would print out, because the colors would look really garish once it's printed out. But for our purposes, it's going to create what I think is a nice cutout. So nothing changing basically. I'm keeping the levels and the edge simplicity and the edge fidelity all the same, and it's still generating the preview. And I'm going to click OK. You can continue to play around with that if you want, and that's how you get a cutout that also sort of maintains that contrast level, so that you're not having to deal with sort of these flatter colors. Now this is an option. You can do that. It's definitely something that's an aesthetic choice. I personally, when I'm working with cutouts and traces, especially with the vector drawings, the bolder colors really, I think, are more effective for me personally. And I thought I'd show you guys how to do that. So there you have it. It was a little bit more advanced than what we've covered, and hopefully you're up for the challenge. If not, let me know and I'll see what I can do to help. Thanks. Bye.